to our first podcast. We are Thoughts Gone Wild. I'm Me-Callan-Will.
I'm Timothy. And I'm William, but you can call me Will.
And our co-producer over there, Chase. And let us get started. So, Will, did anything crazy or exciting happen today?
Oh, yeah. I actually had a very intense soccer game where the score was 8-1.
Oh, okay. Oh, how did you get those points?
Well, my team did really good, and I scored 2 of those goals.
Okay.
How'd you score the goals? Well, I kicked it in the goal. No, but for real, one was off. So my goalie was in a really good position, and he threw it really well through the air, and then it touched my foot perfectly, so I could boot it into the goal. And then one was off a corner. I came in from behind. He kicked it over everybody's head, and then I came in with the goal.
Okay, so for our first podcast, we will be talking about 3 famous animals and their origins, hence the name and the origins.
Okay, so we are going to start with the animal that gives you eggs, but also lives in the Arctic or lives on its own, the bird.
Okay, so the first bird was known to be alive around 150 million years ago.
And it was a dinosaur. And now we're going to let this name be said by Timothy. Named the
Archaeopteryx, for people who can't say it.
It lived in the late Jurassic.
Hey, do you think it might have been in Jurassic Park? The domestication of birds happened 10,000 years ago.
The red jungle fowl was the bird that the chickens evolved from. They lived in Southeast Asia.
But the well-known parrot evolved from the arboreal birds that was 60 to 70 million years ago. I said that wrong.
The chicken is the closest relative to the Archaeopteryx.
Yes. Their feathers evolved from the scales.
The ancient birds also didn't have hollow bones. Do birds have hollow bones?
Yes.
And now birds have a wishbone, and their skeletal structure is just a little different from those today.
The first interactions between birds and humans were most likely first interactions with each other for part of their diet by hunting them for a source of food.
And then domestication happened when humans bred them for eggs.
And eventually, were their symbolic and religious significance.
Remember, we're 10-year-olds. This process of domestication spread across different cultures and religions.
Birds also played important symbiotic roles in many ancient cultures.
Birds with the ability to fly often symbolized freedom,
the divine,
and the connection between the earth and the sky.
Ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans associate various birds with gods and mythologies.
As human society became more advanced, birds began to not be kept just for food, but also as companions.
One of the first pet birds was very likely the parrot, which has been investigated for its ability to mimic human speech.
Records show that parrots were kept as pets in ancient civilizations, including Egypt and Rome.
Over time,
birds like parrots, canaries, and finches became more popular as pets in human households.
Birds had feathers back then and couldn't fly, but now they can. Their bones are much heavier than the hollow bones of birds today.
Birds have teeth in their jaws, and now it is just a beak.
Hey, Will, Timmy, do you guys want to take a break?
Yeah! We're going to talk about the feline, the cat.
The first cats, or ancestors of modern Domesticated cats evolved around 9 to 10 million years ago.
That's a long time. The earliest members of the cat family, Felidae, appeared during the Miocene epoch.
These early ancestors were wild carnivores and aren't the same as domestic cats.
The domestication of cats is believed to have occurred around 9,000 to 10,000 years ago.
The domesticated cats, Philius catus, evolved from the African wildcat, Philius lybrica, which is a small wild species found in parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Western Asia.
The African wildcat is the primary ancestor of the domestic cat we know today.
The first interactions between cats and humans date back to around 9,000 years ago. As humans transitioned from a nomadic lifestyle and to settled farming communities, they began to store surplus grain.
This attracted rodents, which in turn attracted wildcats.
These wildcats would have been drawn to the settlement because of the ability to prey.
Initially, cats were likely tolerated by humans for their pest control abilities. However, as this relationship developed, some cats may have begun to live in closer proximity to human dwellings, gradually becoming more accustomed to human presence.
Unlike dogs, which were actively bred by humans for specific purposes, cats probably domesticated themselves.
Cats that were less fearful of humans. They have had a better chance of surviving and reproducing in human settlements.
Over generations, this led to the development of a more symbiotic relationship.
Though cats were not trained in the same way as dogs, they likely became more social and associated to human companionship.
The African wildcat and other early ancestors of domestic cat were like modern cats in size, but they were muscular wildcats were very solitary and fiercely territorial, but they evolved to be more flexible.
The wildcat lifespan was fairly shorter than the average 12 through 15-year lifespan of the modern cat.
Time for some fun facts.
Oh yeah!
Cats' whiskers are highly sensitive and help them navigate.
Wow. Cats rotate their ears 180 degrees. The frequency of a cat's purring has been shown to promote healing in bone and tissue.
Is that like a superpower? Are they like superheroes? Like they go,
Wow, that feels much better.
I know, right?
We must become cats right now. Hold on.
Alright guys, shall we keep going or should we take a break?
Take a break!
Welcome back to the last part of the podcast. So we have gone through birds, cats, but do you guys know what's next?
I know.
What?
The dog.
Really?
So, the first dogs were actually wolves and lived 300,000 to 400,000 years ago.
I mean, not as impressive as this cat, but still.
It was very recent that domestication happened, being 15,000 to 40,000.
All early wolves and early were all sorry, I'm so sorry. All early wolves were early gray wolves and early canids. The dogs we know today evolved from the early gray wolves.
And the closest related dog to the gray wolf is, you guessed it, Siberian Husky! With their thick coats and behaviors.
The first interaction between humans and wolves were really from scavengers who left food scraps for wolves, and in return the wolves helped hunt for the scavengers.
Whoa, that's really good companionship.
They also warned that an enemy or predator was coming near so they could get away.
Over multiple generations, wolves had less aggression, more social ability, and greater tolerance, and their shape also began to change, with smaller jaws, shorter snouts, and smaller teeth.
Wow. Later humans had early breeding with wolves by selecting wolves that were good hunters or had traits that were useful for specific tasks, such as guarding or herding.
Over time, this led to the emergence of different dog types with specialized skills.
Dogs became more social than wolves, with a stronger tendency to bond with humans and other animals, and they showed less aggression and are able to be more adaptable to different human environments.
Over time, with the breeding, the dogs made them small.
That's weird.
The first true dogs were domesticated around 15 to 40,000 years ago, which I already stated.
Really? That's actually really close.
I wonder who the scriptwriter is. As humans began to settle into agricultural societies around 10,000 years ago, domestication accelerated, and herding, hunting, guarding, and companionship became much more common with dogs.
The development of dog breeds became more intentional, which made more of the breeds we know today.
Over the years, you would think wolves still were helping us, but these things gone. They returned to the wild once again, hunting for food, once again. And so, guys, are we ending the podcast now?
Yeah.
Anything else we want to say? Oh, actually, we will be doing another episode for Triple Truth, and it'll be a show that'll have it's basically truth or dare, but only truths, and so basically, and we'll explain more in the actual episode. And so we will also be doing multiple more episodes. I think our next episode will either be sports baseball or sports soccer.
Yeah. Or we could do both.
Yeah. So double episode, double the time, but So we'll catch you on the left side of the brain or the right.